Hello everyone. Following presentation is the survey results conducted by students of MTTM Banaras Hindu University. This survey is the part of an assignment of the course Research Methodology supervised by Dr. Saizu PJ. The survey title Lockdown and Students aimed at understanding of basics of questionnaire design, data collections, analyze and reporting, which provide an external learning in conducting research. The research question framed on following basis. Number 1. How did this lockdown help students to adopt some alternative lifestyles in learn some new skills? The next question was based on, has this lockdown added some stress or loneliness among students? The next question was, could this lockdown have responded in involved themselves in yoga or some other indoor sports activity? Another questions were related to what were the demographic profile of respondent. The scope of the study. This study is limited to experience of undergraduate, postgraduate and PhD students of India. Period of the studies were from 20th April to 30th April 2020. So the aim of the study was, number 1, to study how effectively the undergraduate students, postgraduate students and the PhD students use this lockdown period. Number 2, to analyze the interest and the involvement of students in online learning, perceived anxiety and stress about career and stress removal activity during lockdown. Analyze the association of age and gender with the selected items in the study and to cluster the major functions among the items. The basic instrument was online questionnaire. Snowball sampling was used to collect the data. Questionnaire is divided into 3 parts. A. The profile of respondents, age, gender and disciplines. B. 6 dichotomous questions which have yes/no answer to measure the following: involvement in online learning and skills learning program, involvement in yoga and any other sports indoor activity, anxiety and stress factor, measuring experience of online learning, social networking, skill improvement, creativity and reorientation self.
Online survey. The face validity of the questionnaire was conducted with discussions among the researchers. A pilot study was conducted to test the questionnaire and check errors. Wordings of some questions were rectified, while for some questions, considering their complexity, they were omitted. Google Form was used to design the final questionnaire, and distribution was done through all possible mediums of communication. For data collection, 190 responses were received during the data collection period. Responses were downloaded in CSV format for further analysis. 35 responses found invalid for the present study, and these items were removed. All responses and items were coded for analysis purpose. After the processes, the data was exported to SPSS for further analysis. For data analysis purpose, we used Microsoft Excel for creating graphs, SPSS trial version for cross-tabulation and chi-square test, and RStudio for cluster analysis.
Hello, my name is Kritika. I'm a student of MATTM 4th semester, and I'm here to be discussing about these few slides, which is basically data analysis. In that 47%, that is the highest here. So 47% of people belong to age group between 21 to 23. So yeah, let's look at another slide. We have another variable, that is gender. In our case, we have taken two genders, that is male and female, and the numbers and percentage have been given. Now here we can see that we total number of respondents here are 155. Now looking to this diagram, it is very clear that male are slightly more than the females. Then moving ahead to the fourth slide, that is present status. That is basically what people are doing right now in the career. Now here we can see that the highest number of people coming from are post-graduation. Now moving ahead to the next slide, we have another variable, that is discipline. Now we have several disciplines, that is social science, humanities, engineering, law, medicine and commerce. That 37.4%, which is the highest percentage in this case. So people are mostly from humanities, which is slightly a little more than in the comparison to social science. Now we're going to find out if two variables, one dependent variable, that is gender, and the independent variables, that are online learning, yoga, indoor sports and so on, so if they have any kind of relationship between them at all or not. I said earlier that here we're trying to find out if two variables are having any kind of relationship between them or not, and for that we have used chi-square test here. So that's what we have done here. So you can see that for every combination is the gender and both the variables, that is gender and online learning, gender and yoga, and so on and so on. So here p-value is also called the probability value, and it will be in the range, it will usually always be in the range of 0 to 1. And suppose we want to prove that two variables are actually related. So now, as we know that we have when a p-value is lesser than 0.05, then we go for a null hypothesis, or when p-value is greater than 0.05, we go for the alternate hypothesis. But since all these values are very, very less, so there's no significant association between these two variables. That is what is slide 7. We can see that the same thing has been done for different combination here, that is age has been compared with. Also we have got the chi-square and p-values here, and it's clear that the p-value is greater than 0.05. that means alternate hypothesis has been chosen, that these two are not, which was like these two variables are not at all related. Cramer's v-value, now it equals 0 when there is no relationship between variables, and it is 1 when there is a strong relationship. Now here we can see that age and loneliness are having the highest Cramer's v-value, that is 0.19. so they are more related than the others, but not enough according to the required values. So when we go to the slide number 8, now we can see that all the variables are studied under grouping variables as gender. So what is done here is that Mann-Whitney U-test has been used, and we have found out that there isn't any statistical significant relation between these two genders. So same thing has been done here in slide number 9, Kruskal's Wallace test. So that we use if we have to that we're using here if we have more than 2 age groups. So now as you can see here that we are now taking grouping variable as age. So if you go back to the second slide, we'll find that we had 3 age groups, that is 18 to 20, 20 to 23 and above 23. Now so if we have 2 groups, we can use a Mann-Whitney U test, and for more than 2 groups we can use a Kruskal-Wallis test. And here also you can see that chi-square value is all really low, so there is no significant difference on total scores across 3 age groups of respondents. So that's all from starting slide. So this is the basic understanding of all these slides. So yeah, I think that's it. So I hope it was somehow useful and somewhat understandable. So yeah, this is from my side. And
cluster analysis is a multivariate analysis which is used to classify objects having similar characteristics. Using hierarchical approach, 3 clusters have been identified in the research, which are demarcated by red lines in the present dendrogram. The K-means clustering. The cluster means were calculated, and accordingly the first cluster is labeled as students who spend more time in online learning and social networking during lockdown. The second cluster representing those who had expectation to complete work and social networking, while the third cluster represents those who had expectation to complete work and creativity. The within cluster sum of squares for cluster 1 is 214.7656. The within cluster sum of cluster 2 is 187.0244. The within cluster sum of squares for cluster 3 is 228.5200. The 3 clusters explain 34.30% of variance in the data.
Through this experiment, we learn the following. 1. To design questionnaire, data collections, data processing, and analyze the real data. So, here is the final conclusion of the questionnaire survey. First, proportion of male and female respondents are same. Most of the respondents were above 23 years who were at the PG level. Most of the respondents belongs to humanities and social sound background. Fourth, students join new online program. Fifth, students also develop anxiety and stress on future career. Sixth, some students also feel loneliness because of this lockdown. Many students adopt to learn some new skills. And with this survey, we try to figure it out how this survey associated and difference with group means. It is found that the following variables, we also include the students like online learning, practice of yoga, indoor sports, anxiety and stress, new skills and gender have no associations at all. Similarly, we also found out that we consider the students' involvement also here. So online learning, practice of yoga, indoor sports, and anxiety and stress, loneliness and new skills, and different age groups have no association. The Mann-Whitney U test revealed that there is no significant difference in the total score of metric variable. Expectation to complete unfinished work, spend more time on social networking, had a reorientations and did creative things across gender. Also, the Kruskal-Wallis test also demonstrate that there is no significant difference in the total score of metric variables, and in the end the cluster analyze the 3 clusters.